Welcome back. This is Lew. Today we're going to discover some Greek words just to get an analysis of what they mean. Exegesis, sometimes pronounced exegesis. I go for the exegesis. And eisegesis. And these are two ways of looking at a text and analyzing it. And I want to recommend that you visit a YouTube channel once a week on preparation day in the evening called Spark in You is Yah. They carefully go over critical texts, and the next day around noon they do it again, only with a group, and you can join in. You can actually come and join them. You have to behave yourself though. Just follow the rules, raise your hand, wait for somebody to let you in, and you have to use StreamYard. Anyway, I want to get started on this by showing you my screen again. But before I do that, I want to show you why people believe what they believe, because they don't study. They don't realize the impact of the fiscal Judaicus tax that was initiated during the reign of Titus and Vespasian, and it just continued on. They taxed people because they were obeying Torah in the Roman Empire. And the Creed of Constantine is something you can download at torazone.net. This is a 4-page tract like most of the rest, and you can look at this. And I've got a little poster here too. Wanted outlaw. What did he do? Oh man. Well, he did a lot of stuff. He changed the Sabbath into his day of the sun, and they call it Sunday. Wow, unscriptural. See, they're analyzing Scripture by using what they already believe, and they're bringing it to study Scripture with. They already believe something, so they hunt something down in the Scriptures. It's called proof texting. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and we're going to get started right now. I'm going to switch this over, and it's going to curve over, and you'll see my screen. How does that happen? Anyway, wait for it. Oh, look, there's my screen. Now let's open this little program down here at the end, at the bottom. Exegesis and eisegesis. These are different approaches. Exegesis is a noun. It's a critical explanation or interpretation of a text, especially of Scripture. So what is eisegesis? Well, it's a process of interpreting a text that brings in a study of one's own ideas, presuppositions, agendas, or biases in order to prove a pre-held point of view rather than what the text actually says. It is also called proof texting. Now let's go over this again, see the difference. The first one, exegesis, is a critical explanation or interpretation of a text, especially of Scripture. Now let's stop for a second and think about this. You're just reading words, and you don't bring anything with you. That's not mentioned here. You critically explain something, which is what we do each week at Spark in You is Yah on YouTube. You just look that up. And eisegesis is a process of interpreting Scripture or a text that brings into the study your own ideas that you already believe and presuppose, and maybe with an agenda or a bias. In other words, to prove that Scripture doesn't mean what it means, or that it's been outdated, something's been canceled, and it's entirely outside your behavior pattern. So, and that's done all the time. You know, they have a lot of phrases for that. So, rather than what the text actually says is what they do. They invent ways of tracking down or hunting down texts. Now, eisegesis is what we don't want to do, because that's not really studying Scripture, that's studying your own traditions, and then trying to prove that what you're doing is correct. If you read Deuteronomy 12, you're going to be shocked, because he doesn't want you to learn the ways of the heathen at all, nor worship him in their way. You don't want to repackage their stuff. So eisegesis is best understood when contrasted with exegesis. Exegesis this: Deuteronomy 22:12, Numbers 15:37 through 41, Matthew 9:20, Luke 8:40 through 48, is discussing the wearing of tassels in order to remind you to obey Torah all the time. Now, we wear tzitzit because Yahusha was wearing them when he was on the earth. Do you think he's still wearing them? Well, he is the Ruach HaKodesh. Now, he put a love for his Torah, his instructions, on our heart. He put a love for that on our heart, so that we have this desire to obey him and do what is pleasing to him. There's many other things that you could look at too, such as putting a log in front of a blind person and watching them stumble over it and laughing at them. Well, these are things that we don't do, but there's things that we do. We don't tattoo ourselves. And if you have tattooed yourself and you've repented of it, he doesn't see it anymore. So ignore that yourself. It's just a reminder of when you used to sin. But we don't do that stuff anymore. We're not compounding it. But we wear tzitzit. Seats is a singular thing. It's one seats. And tzitzith is plural, because we're going to wear about 4 of those, and they're purplish blue. It's the word tekeleth. I might have to put that on the screen. Seats means blossom or flower in Hebrew. A blossom attracts the pollinators, and when it's pollinated, it's where the fruit grows. You see the idiomatic meaning of this thing? You're really looking at something that's representing the Hebrew word flower, and it's where the fruit grows. Well, what's the fruit? Your behavior. You behave in the will of Yahuwah. You obey him. Now, why would that be called fruit? Well, because he's looking for fruit, and that's the obedience. That's what he's looking for. And when he sees it, he's really glad. You know, he can see you walking in it. If you clean the inside of the dish, meaning your mind, then the outside, that's your behavior, the way you act, is also going to be clean. Now think about that. The inside of the dish, you clean it. Actually, he's done that. He's cleaning it out constantly, purging out the old leaven and the old men's and traditions and instructions. Now, on the outside, as he cleans your inside, you also are clean on the outside. So the fruit is the evidence of his spirit in you. And people can actually notice it. They go, hey, this guy doesn't talk like we do. He doesn't, get randy and be corrupt. What's going on with him? Is he better than us? Does he think he's better? Well, no, because every one of us has sinned. But we stop sinning when we have him in us, because we're his temple. Your mind has now been pollinated with his word. And the cleaning out of your mind is done by the word. Let's see if the fruit of obedience will multiply and your purpose for existence will become apparent to you. Please share.